We're the ones that will actually be saying like, hey, here's money for you. And we're the only professional out there that can say that. You know, you do that to a lawyer, the lawyer's going to hand you a bill, the accountant's going to hand you a bill, CRA is going to hand you a bill. And we're the only ones that will offer you cash, very tax advantaged, if not tax free.
Welcome to the WinEh podcast. This show is focused on empowering ranchers. Whether you're a seasoned rancher or just getting started, we'll guide you on how to use the infinite banking concept as an alternative way to finance your operations. It's a better way to think about money. Join us as we discuss planning for the future, attracting the next generation, and the art of keeping more money within the family. Here's your hosts, WinEh and Lacey.
We are so glad that you're choosing to lean in with us today for our conversation around
you will always owe money to someone. So this topic actually was brought on by my dad.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I was having a conversation with him one day when I was driving somewhere. And I'm like, oh, like this bill is due and this is due. And it's just like never ending. And he said, well, baby, you're always going to owe money to someone. So the best you can do is just look after your money, work hard, and just make sure your bills are paid. So then that just sparked a podcast topic of, we'll always owe money to someone, but who is that someone?
Mm-hmm. And to add on, I think we all have our own stories when we think about it. Like when I think about what you just shared, I think about one of my late mentors who's no longer here. You know, Ray Poteet, he was a huge advocate and student of the infinite banking process himself. And he said it, but just in a different way. It's like, it's impossible to owe no man nothing.
Right.
Right. And it's really around addressing the different ways in which we all manage our money, right? Typically, like in our era of growing up, I think there's like a underlying belief that if we can pay for everything in cash and we're completely out of debt, then you are good, right? You're solid if you're always in a position to do that. The question now becomes, now that we know about the infinite banking lifestyle and strategy in the way to, because it's a new lifestyle of how you are going to manage your cash flow, right? And how is it that the IBC way is more cost effective, but more effective than buying things in cash.
Right.
And at the same time, circling back around to, we're always going to owe someone something. So even if you think, oh yeah, I have no consumer debt, I don't have any car payments, I don't have a mortgage, I absolutely don't owe anyone.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is like, okay, I don't have consumer debt, I don't have vehicles, credit cards, whatever, but I owe myself money. I owe myself money in a way that I need to be putting some away for retirement, for emergencies, for those years where our earning potential is lowered due to our age or maybe our physical ability. I think that we owe right now, in those years where we can maximize that income earning, we owe ourselves that money.
Yeah. And in speaking to someone who absolutely has no debt, however, saves, they don't owe anyone anything because typically they have saved for their car or they've saved for their vacation, right? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily just financing or putting on a credit card and then paying themselves back. So if we think about it from the standpoint of, you are a saver, you've accumulated, let's say, $50,000 in your bank account. And you get yourself, although I don't know, can you get yourself a decent car with $50,000 these days? I'm not sure. But let's just say we can, okay?
Yeah.
And $50,000, and now you can buy your car outright. And the thing is that if, again, being a good steward, as soon as you have spent that $50,000 you've saved, and now you have it in a form of a car, don't you need to be like, to your point, paying yourself back, replenishing what you just spent for the next thing?
Absolutely.
And to take it to that one extra level, when we are what is a way in which you can optimize all the different ways that you can optimize while you're saving? So some people in Canada here, we're resorting to potentially TFSAs, right? Because you can invest and grow that tax-free. That's a really popular way to do it. Or there's potentially a high interest savings account, right? Those are the saving methods, right? Some people also will confuse the matter by saying that they're saving for the next thing by investing. And perhaps, Lacey, you can expand on why it's a little bit confusing to invest what you're saving.
What's the difference between saving and investing? So when we are saving, we are putting that money wherever we're putting it with the intent that it's going to be there when we want to use it. When we're investing those same dollars, we're investing them knowing that there is a risk that they're not going to be there when we need them. That's huge. So do you want to save or do you want to invest? Like, where do you want to put more of that money?
Mm-hmm. So what's also interesting too, when we really stop and slow down and think about where is it that we are placing our money while we are setting money aside for the next thing that we need, right? Whether it's for emergency, car, travel, whatever, XYZ, whatever is relevant to your world. Is it the best place inside of a TFSA or in a bank account? Well, we understand the terms and conditions behind each of those spaces. So quite often we ask the people that we're dealing with, our clients, hey, before you decide to just place your money somewhere, really think about, if you put your money in a TFSA or, high interest savings account or XYZ, who is in control? How much control do you have over who's in control? What is the liquidity factor? What's your taxation? Does it meet your short and long-term goals when you're doing that? Liquidity-wise, there is only one financial vehicle that is allowed to do something that all other vehicles cannot.
Yeah, and that's the type of life policy that we use. And so in our lives, there's like certain points that stand out to us, right? And you referenced one of those before. And something for me, and this was probably almost 3 years ago, so it would have been a long time ago on Mary Jo's podcast. I was driving and binge listening, and I remember her saying that she had a meeting with a client, and she said to the client, you don't have a problem putting your money away in a 401k, and you don't have access to it, but you're questioning storing it inside of a life policy when you have immediate access to it.
Mm-hmm. And it still continues to grow as if you didn't take it out.
Yeah.
Much better terms and conditions, if you line them up side by side. But so I think the huge difference there is the way that we think about it, right? One seems safer than the other. And like, that's a whole other thing. It's like our perception always manages to really define how we behave and how we react to something. So again, circling back around, what is this session really about? We owe no matter what.
No matter what, we owe money to someone, whether that be the banks, the credit card companies. But we're here to teach and show you how to get those dragons out of your life. And this is another question that we get, well, but I still owe money. Yeah, you still owe money, but who do you owe it to? That's the question. And it's us overcoming that conditioned thinking that it's okay to owe money to the snakes and the dragons for the, rest of our life. And so I think a question, WinEh, that because we have all kinds of listeners, right? We have listeners who have debt. We have listeners who have a lot of debt, maybe not a lot of debt. And then we have listeners who have no debt. So if I come to you, I've read the book, I sit down with you and I say, WinEh, I don't have any debt. I'm operating my farm on cash. I'm not borrowing money from the bank. How is infinite banking going to benefit me if I don't have any debt? Because we all the time, we do focus on let's move your debt from the bank to yourself. And so, but what if I don't have any? What if I don't have any debt?
Well, I mean, if you don't have any debt, that's great. I'm guessing that you're very proud of that fact. And in, by getting into a position where we have no outside debt to someone else, that means you also value your dollars. You value having money in your account. Well, you also probably value the work that you do, right? So why not have your money working for you no matter what? Like why not have your money working for you all the time, right? And it doesn't even have to be inside of an investment per se. Your money is working for you all the time because it's contractually based because of where you chose to store your money. And so what if, like, okay, so before you go and you spend your money in cash, and yay, so you might not have a monthly payment or interest to owe, but what you have lost is the opportunity to have that money forever work for you again. That is the major difference, right? That money sitting inside your account, maybe you have it in a high interest savings and maybe it's earning 1 or 2 or 3%. But as soon as you take some of that money out, you're not earning that interest anymore on the same value that you had left there to take out. You're now earning interest on the amount that's left over. Where in the case of what Lacey and I want to share with you and really want you to look at is that it doesn't have to happen that way anymore, right? And number two, especially in the agricultural world, right? There is going to come a time perhaps that you may need to consider borrowing money again because there's some opportunity or some emergency that could happen based on whatever risk that is out there, right? Or maybe there's a piece of land that just came up that's right beside you, right? And it's like, it's never going to come up again and it'll never go back down, right? You don't have enough in your savings account to just buy it in cash. So you might consider stepping out of your, no debt zone to take out a loan to get something that you really, really want, right? Mm-hmm. So why not get into a position ahead of time when you don't need it to get yourself into a financial vehicle that, number one, as soon as you run your money through it, it's going to be working for you for the rest of life. And with that very same dollar, be able to meet the requirement of your lender in the future to have death benefit so that in case you pass away prematurely, that debt will be paid out. And at the same time, with that same dollar, if you're not thinking about just death, what if you're thinking about how you're leaving things behind to the people that you care about? Uh-huh. You're also leaving a death benefit behind tax-free with the same dollar. Like, right. Isn't that smarter?
Yeah, I think it's huge because it's giving you so many options. And that last piece, it's providing you that opportunity and the freedom to leave behind that legacy that maybe your kids want to carry on the operation. Maybe your niece or your nephew or your grandkids want to carry on the operation. And this is actually going to provide and make that a possibility. And so one thing that I heard, and we talk about this all the time, that insurance advisors, people run from us. And there's a comic that we reference all the time where the insurance guy comes with this briefcase and the whole audience is running out of the concert theater or whatever it is because they don't want to talk to this insurance guy. And we don't want to be that. We're here to say, hey, we're here to help you. We're here as basically the last man standing to show up and provide for you a tax-free payout to your loved ones, a place to store your money where it's working for you, a possibility for that generational wealth and that succession of your farm to continue on. And I still go back to if you love someone or owe someone, you need life insurance.
Mm-hmm. So in summation, the big takeaway points that you really ought to have from our session today is that, again, even if you have no debt, there may come a time where you may need it. And number two, does what you're currently doing offer you uninterrupted compound growth of your money? Because I'm sure if it isn't, then you are losing out on the opportunity of your money forever working for you, contractually speaking, ever again. And I'm not talking about anything to do with the marketplace, invested into the marketplace, right? Secondly, who owns the debt? Or even if you're resaving the money, right? It's who owns the debt. It ought to be you. And number 3, it's like you could do so many things with the same dollar. That's so much better. And the 4th bonus, the bonus tip that you just offered is, hey, treat us with some respect, because we're the ones that will actually be saying like, hey, here's money for you. And we're the only professional out there that can say that. You know, you do that to a lawyer, the lawyer's going to hand you a bill, the accountant's going to hand you a bill, CRA is going to hand you a bill. And we're the only ones that will offer you cash at a very tax advantaged, if not tax free.
That's right.
So
we truly are here to help you. And we want to see those farms and ranches carry on. We want to see, I have 3 kids. I want to see if they choose and they have an interest in the operation, I want that to be a possibility for them. I want them to be able to walk into it, but not wonder how they're going to do it. Just walk into it with freedom and have those options to live the life that they truly want to live. And that can go on any operation. A topic that's very near and dear to my heart. So if you have questions, comments, or feedback, please send them to us at wecare@ranchyourway.com. But you want to start with the book bundle. So the 2 books that you see behind WinEh, the Canadian version of Farming Without the Bank, and then Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. Head over to our website and grab those. Thanks for tuning in.
So glad you leaned in with us on the WinEh podcast. We truly hope you're feeling more informed and empowered to take another step towards optimizing your financial life. Right now, make sure you hit subscribe so you can keep growing and learning with us. Until next time, we wish you prosperity in every area of your life.